Hi, I'm Heinbach. It's good to have you back. In this video, I want to show you how to get from this to this. All through the art of pinging. I've pinged a lot of stuff on this channel, from phasers to delays to filters to Lockin amplifiers and a bunch more stuff. But I've never done a video where I explain the technique explicitly. So this is basically how to ping 101. A warning up front. Pinging involves working with feedback systems, and feedback systems will resonate, and they can sometimes resonate so loudly that you might damage your speakers or worse, damage your ears. I don't recommend trying this technique with headphones, or at least employ limiters in your signal chain, brick wall limiters, so you won't get caught by the feedback. Now, what does pinging mean and what do you need? First of all, you need a system that can resonate. For example, a glass. And then you need something to excite that resonance. And that's, in this case, my finger. And that's pinging. And this is also how it sounds oftentimes. A high resonant tone that you can then mute and dampen as you like. But how do you do this electronically? Again, you need two things. The system that can resonate and an exciter. And a system that can resonate can be more things than you might think. The easiest thing to ping is a filter, because those have resonance oftentimes built in. And resonance is just the cutoff point of that filter that gets emphasized, and you get a little bump there. Let me demonstrate a pinging patch on the modular. I'm going to use two modules for this. DMF2 will be the resonator and maths will be the exciter. Maths is just putting out a little trigger signal, which sounds like this. Not very exciting. So let's filter this down and add resonance. Schweiman modules do the loveliest pings. The signal I'm sending to this filter is really nothing but a short click or a trigger. But you can explore with other envelopes, and especially on modular synthesizers and all kinds of other synthesizers, the shape can define the tone. Now a little trick, if you want to turn this into a kick drum, is to also send a little pitch envelope to the CV input of a filter. So I'm just going to do that. CV input, take the envelope and add that to the mix. That makes everything a bit punchier. As I mentioned before, there are many other things you can ping, and oftentimes it sounds absolutely beautiful. Phasers, for example, are especially useful. Here's a video that I made on that whole topic, how I create drum sounds with phasers. But flangers also work. Delays with very short settings are also wonderful to ping, because then you go into car plus strong synthesis. But that's a topic for another day. But of all these, one of my most favorite things to ping are passive bandpass filters and Lockin amplifiers and filter banks. And that's what I'm just going to do now. We've got two signals here. One is this, which is just a click from the Syntrax from Erica Synths. And these little clickety zappy sounds. And these are going to be our trigger signals for all these filters here. First, let me break down how I route this for maximum effectiveness. I've set up an aux on this mixer, meaning an auxiliary path that routes through a bunch of these filters. I'm using this little banana patch bay over here. So if I open up that path on the clickety-clicky sounds, they will be routed to the inputs of the filters. But the important thing here is not to route that back to the aux return, which would be the usual path you take, but to route it rather to a channel on the mixer. This way you can add one of the most important ingredients when working with pinging, and that is feedback. Here's our click signal. I'm taking that off the master and I'm just routing it to the aux. And now this travels all the way through this patch bay into the Siemens Terzsieb up top my head speaker. And then it sounds like this. I can change the pitch, of course. And now I add feedback by opening up the same aux that routes the click to the signal. So it travels in here and then goes around into the filter again. This creates more stable tones, and with the EQ on the channel, I can pitch them. This acts almost like a fine tune. Let's do the same thing on this Ellison filter. Adding it in. Feedback. Can almost hear the signal wanting to break free, and I'm just gonna do that now. Watch your speakers. Totally overdriving the mixer. Okay, I really like the plackety sound of these things, but we need something with a bit more oomph. And therefore I'm employing this EMS Rehberg filter bank. This is a rather rare collection of bandpass, high pass, low pass filters, and it does sound pretty nice. As you can hear, with this filter bank, it's really possible to shape signals, to create something that is more of a kick drum. And yeah, that's one of the nice things about filter banks. Compared to single bandpass filters, they give you a lot of options to put things together. One fixed filter bank that I can heartily recommend is the Surge ResiQ. That is an amazingly beautiful tool to do similar stuff with. But now we need a bass, and for that I'm pinging a Lockin amplifier, which is basically a bandpass filter hypercharged, because it has a reference oscillator in there, it has a super high gain amp and a super high gain output amp. These are science tools. Here's a full video on Lockin amplifiers, and there's more videos on Lockin amplifiers on my channel. Absolutely essential tools for me, and they sound great for bass. So let's send the schnickety signals to this Lockin amplifier here. Lockin amplifiers give you really beautiful basses. But one thing, if you're employing these, you have to watch out is these go way lower in frequency output than normal audio gear. So I employ this little high pass, low pass filter behind it just to limit the output that you get. Else my poor mixer would suffer constantly and would almost, break apart from the low output, the rumble that happens here. Now we're moving a bit away from pinging, but we're still using a band pass filter. It turns this signal into something more musically useful. Not much on its own, but if we bring it all together, it starts to sound nice. Now there's one more thing that I like to ping here, and that's a resonant pitch shifting patch on the Eventide H3000. There's a microphone behind me, behind the metallic resonator, a gong speaker, and I have that always on the mixer. Any signal in this room will be recorded by that mic into this mixer. And of course I can feed that back, which is something super cool for transitions, because as you might hear, feedback has this kind of dangerous quality to it. I think it just adds spice to a track, gives it a sense of urgency. So let's open up that mic channel. We are getting somewhere. I just want to introduce two more elements, and I think then I can play this track for you. And that is this Soviet wire recorder in the Brother Republic of East Germany version. This is a crazy machine for sound design, can feedback, can do all these things. And I think it will add a nice bit of spice when I just run all these clicks through this. I really love the tone this imparts, and I'm probably gonna run it through a bunch of effects and see what's happening. And I think there's one thing missing, and that is something that gives it more harmony or melody that lift this track up. And I'm not a purist, so I don't have to ping this thing for this track. I'm just employing the Juno 60 fully wet through 2 quadreverbs. See my technique on that here. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to pinging and feel inspired to try out something similar. I'm going to be uploading a bunch of sounds from these pings onto my Patreon, and I want to thank everybody who supports what I do there. You are the reason I can spend days on recording something like this. Now, music from this episode will of course also be there. And if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments below or visit the subreddit. It's a nice community for all these things. So I want to thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye.